Good morning. Well, it's not morning, it's afternoon. Uh, August 22nd, Thursday. It's like 1 in the afternoon. We have to go grab our kid tomorrow from the airport. Here at home. Well, we won't be home until closer to 5 p.m. His flight arrives at around 3. It's a 2-hour drive, so I'm not looking forward to it. I have to go pick up the rental car and everything tomorrow morning, so I'm sure tomorrow morning I'm not gonna do one of these. Neighborhood kitty cat. Skinny Mini. That one's a Skinny Mini too. There's a dad and his 2 boys, and I think a third baby in a stroller that's been walking back and forth across. I'm sure they're gonna come back again. The boys are on bikes. But it's really funny because it's like, I have a 14-year-old. He's going to be 15 next month, and it's interesting seeing the difference in how kids today are parented versus how kids were parented when I was a kid. When I was parented. Because one, I was parentified as a kid, so like it's nice to see adults treat children not quite so much like just children, or with the whole like you gotta respect my authority type thing, or like, you gotta respect me, blah blah blah, just because I'm in an authoritative position. That bullshit. But it's more like, look, you can stay here, I'm just gonna go do this, you know what I mean, like that kind of thing. But like both kids ended up following dad, and they're just shouting, playing, because 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old kids, like around that age, they're loud. They're loud. All kids are loud, but it's fine. It feels like a neighborhood when I can hear the kids. And it's not just like it's all the neighbors. My kid's not outside much, but that's probably because I scared him half to death the one day that he decided to just wander down the street when he was like 5. And granted, my kid, autistic, he was not quite verbal yet at that point. Like, he was echolalic. He could understand what you were saying, and he could respond in a way that was not necessarily appropriate, but you could, if you listened and paid attention, you could figure out what it is that he wanted. He could communicate, it just was very, like, roundabout. My favorite between the ages of 3 and 5 was with how he would use language, because he sometimes still uses language that way. But I love him so much, and the way that his brain works, because sometimes I'm like, how did you even make that, like, leap? And it's just like, oh yeah, like, your brain just goes doot, 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 doot. He's so funny. He says he's a computer, he was born in a lab, and I'm like, okay, if that's what you, like, I was when I gave birth to you, but fine, you were born in a lab. That sort of thing. Like, he's very funny. But one of my favorite things was, one time he came up to me and was like, do you want grape? Because he wanted a grape popsicle. And he paused, and then said, okay, I give you grape. Because he wanted me to give him a grape popsicle. And that's what he wanted me to say, was, okay, I'll give you this. And I remember just staring at him and like, yeah, hi kid, fine, you're gonna have a grape popsicle. This is enough popsicles for you after this, though. Like that sort of thing. It just brings me so much joy, thinking about, like, where he is now, as like, in terms of verbal communication. And where he was, 10 years ago. Because that was about 10 years ago. He's going to be turning 15 in September. He starts high school. His first day of school, high school, is Monday, and I went to his high school. Like, serendipitous that this ended up happening, because really I didn't think I would be staying in this area for how long my child has been. We have been here. I honestly thought at some point we'd move away from Delaware again, and that he wouldn't be going to Colonial School District. But there's only one high school in our district, so I gave so much away already. But he has an IEP. I don't remember how high school went for my brother, because honestly, I was a senior when he was a freshman, and senior year was the year that I broke up with my ex-wife. Well, she broke up with me, and then a week later she was like, have your hormones been all out of whack since we broke up? And then decided that she was going to have sex with me, which was a consensual decision on both our parts, but it continued without an actual relationship through the rest of high school, through the rest of senior year. And then she went to go to fucking boot camp, and she asked my best friend out before she left for boot camp. Said best friend, who turned out to be a lesbian, apparently they had even kissed and everything, and I was like, do you know that that ex-wife and I, because we did end up getting married a year later after all of this. That's how, 18, 19, how things were for me at that age. But I was like, did you know that, did they tell you that she and I were having sex up until, right before she left, and that we were still doing all of this? And no, they didn't tell me that. She didn't tell me that. Alright, cool. I just wanted you to know, in case, not to be, sabotaging her decision or whatever, but because I wanted her to go in with full knowledge that, ex-wife was technically seeing somebody, even if it wasn't, official on any account at that point in time. And, of course, ex-wife, Mel sent a letter saying, no, I'm not, I'm not comfortable going out with you, blah, blah, blah. So, of course, ex-wife sent me a letter that I, at one point, had memorized and written it down. Well, what ended up happening is that I just carried this letter around with me everywhere, and I left it at the PNC when I went to go deposit a check way back when. And I left it, I pulled it out of my wallet, because it was kept in my wallet, and I left it there, and didn't realize that I hadn't put it back in my wallet, and it was gone by the time I went to, realize that, oh, maybe I took it out at PNC when I was trying to, deposit my check from, Wawa, because I was working there at the time. And it was a letter that was basically I prayed to God, blah, 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 to, help me make a decision, and I, decided that, you're the one I'm supposed to be with for the rest of my life, will you, etc. It didn't, say, will you marry me, but will you go back out with me, etc. And, of course, 18-year-old me sobbed, and sent a letter back saying yes, happy as can be, because, this is what I thought was supposed to happen, etc. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't have my kid, and the world is so much better with him in it. But good God. I am so tired of her. It's been 10 years since we moved into the house that I've been in, and 10 years ago, I thought, I don't even know really what I thought. I was just happy to have a place where I could settle and actually think and, not worry about whether or not my kid was going to watch me and ex-wife have these really terrible fights anymore, and then it wasn't because I could tell it was impacting him when we were having those fights. Because like he may have been nonverbal, but that doesn't mean that like when we started screaming at each other, because she would raise her voice first, and I match volume, and I get frustrated in the same, angry tone of voice and everything, but like the moment that I would get tense and upset and like ready to fight, kiddo would just immediately climb up the kitchen counter and onto the fridge. Like that kind of thing. So like it would get my attention. I would have to go to him and get him down because, well, I personally did not care because I understood that like climbing is one of the ways that kids play and learn, especially at that age. So I would let him be up there because I knew he was relatively safe about it. Like I watched him climb, I watched him climb down, I know how to, like all that. But ex-wife would lose her damn mind if he was up there. So it was like, I have to go get him. And then, it's like, you're so you're so neglectful, blah, 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 blah. I am literally here with our child 24/7, and yet you can't. I ask you for a few hours of you watching him so I can go do something. Just get out of the house and not be in the same space. Like, she's on the other side of the country now, and she just expects him to fly out every single break from school he gets. And I don't think he can. I don't think he should at this point. 8th grade was rough. He had a rough time in 8th grade. He had a rough time doing the flying to and from. Like, he doesn't mind flying. He actually likes it. He likes being on a plane, and he likes flying across the country, and he likes being over there with her. So, like, her abusive tendencies or whatever haven't transferred to him, thankfully, at this point in time. But it is tired, like, even getting him to and from the airport, like, I can tell when I'm bringing him home that he is, like, exhausted from being out there, and then having to come home and then go right back to school. He's not getting a real break to relax, but he also, like, it was like he was earlier this month when, in the few days he had between actually being done with summer program, which he does like 4 weeks of summer school, every July, and a few days, and then he was flying out to Washington because ex-wife and I dropped the ball. Honestly, both of us. It was partially me, partially her. Like, she didn't expect that she was supposed to have him both parts of his summer, and I did not tell her. I didn't, like, be like, oh, hey, yeah, like, I didn't remind her about it until it was, like, really close. So I understand why she had to buy the plane tickets where she did. But it's just, no. Mm-mm. Just 2 hours away, man. Fuck, I gotta make sure that all his food choices are picked in case. She's not gonna do that for him. Because he flies home tomorrow. But 10 years ago, I didn't think I would still be kind of... Granted, now that I don't see her every other weekend and I don't have those breaks from my child every other weekend, it's kind of like, I need the breaks from my kid, yes, but I also, at the same time, like, need my kid to actually be able to get down to baseline and, like, recover from, like, the burnout of school and stuff like that, because he was starting to get burnt out last year for sure. But we'll see. He comes home tomorrow, and then on Monday goes to his first day of high school, and I gotta pull up his schedule because apparently they don't print them copies of that shit anymore, which annoys me because not every parent has access to. It's not even that it's the home access center. I just always have trouble getting in, and half the time I don't even bother because I haven't needed to. Now you want me to be? No, no. I've been to Penn. He's been to Penn. He's done summer programs there some years. You know, school's huge, but it's not that huge. It's a crowded school, and it's gonna be loud, but he likes being around a lot of people. He's a little more okay with that than I am. I am not a crowd person. And that's okay. But I'm tired of the ex-wife. I'm just so tired. I'm so tired of her level of entitlement in terms of, if Kiddo wants to fly across the country and, wants to see her, cool. If he's the one, chomping at the bit, oh, when am I gonna fly out? Next, blah, 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 blah. Fine, cool. Fine. But, I'm gonna have to sit him down and, have a good conversation and be like, dude, you are old enough to be able to make a decision about this and whether or not you want to fly out every time or whether or not you want a break. Where you actually stay home and have a break. But, traveling to him isn't as exhausting as it is for me, so it's probably not as big of a deal as I feel that it is. And I trust him to know that, I trust him that he has a better sense of what's going on with his body and what it wants and what he needs than I do, even if I don't understand it. Because it's his body. And even if he doesn't know, I can help him figure it out. But last year was the trial run year. This is the second year of doing it. I imagine next year is going to be interesting of whether or not he wants to do summer program again or fly out for the whole summer. And just stay in WA the whole summer. And then I'll see how he wants to handle sophomore year. We'll see. That's, I don't know how he's going to handle everything. And I worry, but, that's... Gotta guide him towards the decisions that feel best to him and what he wants to do. And also, remind him that resting is important. Taking breaks is important. Actually not having to be, on all the time is important. And I'm not sure if he's quite learned that yet, but he vaguely understands the concept of masking in terms of, autistic masking. Because apparently, according to him, there's Bob at home, Bob at school, and Bob at Mama's. And I'm oh, so there's 3 different Bobs. And because we explained to him that we have DID. I was upfront with that in the past year. Unmasking that and telling people, I have this disorder is, it's been really freeing, because it's also well, I'm also autistic, and I'm also this, and I'm also that, so, yeah, it's a lot. It's been a lot, but he comes home tomorrow. I'm gonna bake him some cookies. I'm probably gonna bake today, because tomorrow, I'm gonna have to go get the rental car at 10. Probably have to leave here at 11 to make sure we get to the airport on time, or 11:30 noon. To get to the airport, just go let them know, hey, I'm here to pick up a junior jet setter, blah, 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 blah. Get through TSA, get to the gate. I gotta do, it's a whole lot. Get him into the car, drive 2 hours home, and then turn around Saturday morning and bring the car back. I'm so tired. I'm already so tired. I'm gonna also have to turn around to the ex-wife and be hey, I need more money because you picked a place 2 hours away and like $60 in tolls away. Sorry, man. But it is what it is, and I think I am done for the day. Thanks for listening.